Hello. Sweet corn's something that I've never grown before, but I'm going to give it a go this year. And I'm going to start by hopefully germinating some sweet corn seeds indoors and then planting them out later on in the year. So this is a sweet corn we're talking about growing. Okay. And this is a dish with some wet tissue in it. And all I'm going to do is put some of these sweet corn in this dish, put them on put the lid on, put them on a windowsill and see how they go. I'll just spread them out a wee bit like this. Okay. How's that looking? We'll make sure they're wet all over. Pop the lid on. You'll see what these guys look like in 2 or 3 weeks' time. These are the sweet corn after a week in the container. Okay. Wow, that didn't take long, did it? Every single one germinated. What you can see coming out of the sweet corn there is the root. Okay, the foliage hasn't started yet, the green tops haven't started to show yet, but they've all put a root down. So let's leave them where they are, let them get on with it, and we'll take a look in another week or so, see where we're at. The sweet corn have been in this container now for about 3 weeks on this damn tissue. Let's have another look inside it, let's see where we're at here. Whoa. Right, so these guys have shot on since last we looked. Last time we looked they only had a root on, now they've got significant shoots on top of them. Let's see if we can take one out and have a closer look. Let's see if we can get one that hasn't actually got hold of anything. This guy will do. There we go. So what have we got here? Got a nice shoot, top growth. We've got the initial root that came out to kickstart this thing off. And then we've got some smaller roots starting to show. So I guess these guys could be planted up now. They're just catching the underside of the lid of this container, so I'm going to need to do something with them. And therein lies the problem. I've looked at other people's videos on YouTube to see how to grow these things. As I've already said, I've not grown them before. And I'm actually going to try and grow them, would you believe, in pots. Yeah, I know it's a big plant. I don't know whether I can pull this off, but I'm going to try and give it a go. And so I've started these off. But in watching other people's videos, there's one particular video I've watched where the chap seems to be quite professional. He has a lot of sweet corn and he has them in, I think it's a polytunnel or a greenhouse. They're undercover anyway, and they're a significant size plant. And to quote him, he says there are 3 important things to remember when growing sweet corn, and this is a British grower. The weather is a key player in growing sweet corn. Now if I'm quiet for a while, I'm sure you'll hear the rain. Okay, so that isn't sweet corn growing weather, and it's been significantly windy over these last few days, and that isn't sweet corn growing weather. And the 3 points that this chap makes about growing sweet corn, the significant points are temperature, temperature and temperature. In other words, it needs to be warm enough to get this stuff outdoors, and at the moment, as you can hear, with lots of rain, with lots of wind, it's far too cold. So I may have a problem with this sweet corn in terms of when I do pot it up, and when it gets big enough to go outside, it might still be too cold to go outside, and I don't have a polytunnel or a greenhouse. So that's something I'll need to be aware of and keep an eye on. But anyway, in the meantime, what I'm going to do is we'll pop this one back in the container. I'll give these guys a spray with water. The tissue is still quite wet, but I like to make sure they don't dry out. I'll have to find another lid for this container to let these guys grow on a bit further, and then hopefully a week or 2 down the line the weather will pick up, we'll be able to pot these guys up, and maybe a month or 2 down the line we'll be able to move them outdoors. These guys really have taken me by surprise. Let's take a look at this. These sweet corn have only been in this container just over 2 weeks. I've tried to germinate on seeds on tissue before, and it's taken more than 2 weeks before they've germinated. These things are making a small plant after 2 weeks. So I'm going to have to start and pot them up. So I'll pot a couple up on camera, and then I'll pot the rest up off camera. And I'll just show you how I intend doing this. And there is a bit of a tricky issue here. If I show you it, you'll probably get the gist of this. The plant wants to grow that way. You would expect the root to want to grow that way. But because it's been germinated in this container, it's actually growing that way. It's growing at 90 degrees to the plant. So if you put the plant in like that, the root sticks off to the side. If we put the root in the way it's intended to be, the plant sticks off at the side. So we'll have to make this up as we go along. We'll have to see how this goes. So I've got a couple of 3-inch pots here. I've got some compost, and as I said, we'll pot a couple up now and see how this goes. These are our plant pots, 2 3-inch plant pots. What I'm hoping to do is dangle the sweet corn in, root down, fill the pot and turn the plant without actually breaking it. So let's see how this goes. How's that looking? Root pointing down, plant pointing up. Let's try another. let's push our luck. Ooh, that one looks to have a few more roots on it. We'll use the same method and just point the roots down on the plant. See why I've got this tray, can't you? A right mess. There you go, how easy was that? Now, this compost is quite damp, but we've got our watering device to hand, so let's water them. Okay, well these guys are staying indoors, you couldn't put them out in this wind, it's Baltic out there, and hopefully at some stage that wind's going to stop blowing, the weather's going to get warmer and they will go outside, but at the moment they'll have to stop indoors, as will the others when I pot them up as well. So if you want to see how these sweet corn get on, you're going to need to watch the follow-up video. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.